Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, friends. It's me, Jillian, serial entrepreneur, founder of Catch My Party, founder of MiloTree, business coach, and really business translator. I take what is working right now in online entrepreneurship and I break it down so that you have tactics that you can go and take into your own business. If you would like to get a weekly newsletter from me where I take my most recent podcast episode and I share my 4 biggest takeaways with you, kind of like Cliff Notes, please head to bloggergenius.com and sign up. I would love you to be part of my community so that I can get to know you. Today, I've got my friend and graphic designer Clara on the show, and we are talking about creating compelling pins for Pinterest. We talk about what the elements are that you need to keep in mind to get people to stop scrolling when they see your content. The truth is, it's not as complicated as it might seem. I'm always a little bit intimidated by design, but Clara always puts me at ease. Remember, Pinterest wants new content. They want you adding new pins. Therefore, it behooves you to create a bunch of pins. However, that does take time. So we talk a lot about using templates to create pins and what to be looking for. If you're not a designer, like I am not a designer, and you're kind of winging it, what I like about this episode is there are not that many design concepts that you need to keep in mind. We talk about pairing fonts, we talk about colors, we talk about images, but the truth is, it is an easier science than I would have thought. So without further delay, here is my interview with Clara Gerlach. Clara, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jillian. I'm so happy to be here.
All right, so Clara, you're a designer and you're based in Lima, Peru, which I think is really exotic. Will you share how you got into design?
Okay, so I'm an industrial designer. That means my degree is in product design. So I'm kind of a mixture between an artistic side, an engineering side, and a marketing side. I started off as a surfboard artist. I painted surfboards. And then I moved into working in the sneaker factory. So there I learned a lot about design and processes and machines and kind of building products. And then I launched my own business, my graphic design and website business. So that's when marketing came in. I started working, I still have my design agency now. It's been like 13 years, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, 13 or 14. Oh my God, time flies. So there I have my team and we serve these big retail companies and banks, and we provide all their visual content, their advertising, videos, packaging, whatever. And then I'm the designer behind lots of those party supply sets you see in Amazon. I work with some party suppliers, and there I get to be like super creative and I design all these characters, and I have so much fun doing that. I work for Catch My Party.
No, well, actually, that's how I found you. So you do design work for both Catch My Party and MiloTree and the Blogger Genius podcast. You are my go-to designer. And I love what you do.
And I love working in those different businesses. I get to explore and I get to be creative. And recently, I launched my online business, which I am very excited to talk about. It's called 5tips.co. And it's all about simplifying design for non-designers. So I serve bloggers and other online business entrepreneurs, and I provide tools and resources and templates and tips and tricks like to polish your DIY design skills and basically to feel more confident and look professional. So
here's a question. So if I'm not a designer, can I pretend to be a designer on the internet? Like, are there enough tools and stuff that could make me almost fake my way to looking like a designer in terms of the template, in terms of the images that I create?
yes, well, this is what I think. Of course, I believe, yes, I believe that if you have the correct resources and the correct tools, and you have a clear plan of what your purpose is with your graphics, I do believe that with a little bit of guidance, you can create beautiful images, even if you have zero design skills. Yeah,
I feel like for me, it's about confidence.
exactly.
I look at something and I go, I don't know, does this look good or doesn't it look good or things like that. So the reason why I really wanted to talk to you was because I wanted to talk about Pinterest and like what makes, in your eyes, what makes a good pin. So I'm a non-designer and I want like, steps or checklists of things that I need to think about to create a good pin. So in your mind, what does that entail?
Okay, so yeah, the most important part is that we want to create something that catches the eye. And the next step would be something that is clickable, that makes people want to click. So the whole point is to drive traffic to your website. So I would focus on 5 main items for a good pin and stick to those. It's kind of a checklist. So I would start with the imagery. It has to be something that resonates with the theme you are wanting to pin there. So choose good, high quality photos. You can go to an image bank. There's tons of free out there images, really great, or you can upload your own images. The second item has to be with a headline and being specific and being and using your keywords in your headline, kind of going to something simple enough but catchy and really straightforward. When people are searching in Pinterest, they come there with a problem and they want a solution. So they'd go for something straightforward and direct and specific to them. So headline would be the second item. Then I'd go, and this has to do with the headline, I'd choose very clear fonts. And I recommend not using more than 2 to 3 at a maximum types of fonts. And here you can go with the same font and use it in a light version or in a bold version, like to highlight 2 or 3 keywords you wanna enhance there. Item number 4 would be the call to action, and this is very important in pins. You want to tell your reader or the person that's looking at your pin what to do next. And you can go like, it doesn't have to always be like click here. You can have a little bit of fun, like give me the freebie or learn more or whatever. You can think about something like a little bit more creative. And then the 5th item would be brand consistency. And what I mean by brand consistency is always make sure you have your logo or your colors or your URL. You want to kind of keep it consistent throughout all your pins. So if I were a non-designer, and here's what I would recommend is like have that 5-step checklist before you pin.
I'm amazed how many pins on Pinterest do not have a call to action. And in fact, I'm going to admit that for Catch My Party, we get tons of traffic from Pinterest. And only recently have we said like, see more photos, like click to see more, that kind of thing. It's such a small thing, but it's such a powerful thing because we talk a lot about this. You want your pin to stop somebody from scrolling, right? You're on mobile, you're on Pinterest, you're on your phone, you're busy and distracted. And what is going to stop your thumb from scrolling? And it might be colors, it might be a really pretty visual or eye-catching something. But to tell people, we weirdly do want to be told what to do. We're like, because then it helps me not have to think. Like if you tell me to click here, I'm going to click there versus I have to think to myself, oh, wait, if I want this recipe, now I need to click. Just tell me to click. And chances are I'll click. And I think that that is such a basic element, but yet something that we overlook. So even if you are, it's a recipe, notice how many recipe pins have no call to action.
Yes, I agree. Yes, so it's very basic, and it could be and it could be something very simple, but it doesn't hurt anyone to add it there. And I assure you, it helps. It helps people click. Yes, it does.
Here's my question. I look at certain verticals, and the pins for those verticals, let's say, can look kind of similar. And my question to you is, do I want to stay in that style, or do I want to do something totally different that is, I don't know, that breaks the rules of, say, like DIY bloggers or beauty bloggers or something like that? What is your thought about that?
So, okay, my thought about that. First of all, I think that being creative is all about not being afraid. And I think that Pinterest allows you to test. And that is so powerful because of course, if you research something, you will find kind of patterns associated to the different niches. And that occurs for some reason, of course, because, the images resonate with that theme or whatever. But it doesn't hurt anyone to try. And here's my thought. Design for me is not about something that's pretty or something that's ugly, because that's too subjective. What's pretty for you might not be pretty for me, and so on. So for me, design either works or it doesn't. And what do I mean by that? If you have the chance to do something disruptive and different from the rest of the pins that are out there and that are about your theme, try it out. Because maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And maybe you think it's ugly, but maybe another person doesn't. And so that's my thought on breaking the rules. I would break them. I would try. You never know. So that's my thought. Yeah.
I love that. Again, I as you know, I talk about this all the time, which is we have this hypothesis of what's going to work, but we have to hold that lightly, because many times I look at let's say our Pinterest analytics, and it's some ugly pin that is doing phenomenally well. And again, like when you're thinking in your own business of trying a product and you think, oh, this one will definitely work, this one will never work, test them all, because you might be wrong. And you don't know, like I'll look at a pin that's ugly, that's getting us a lot of traffic, and I'll think to myself, why is this pin working so well? And honestly, I don't know the answer, but I might be more apt to try that design again and see if maybe it's lightning in a bottle and this is just a one-off situation, but maybe there's something there, and maybe I won't ever understand why it's working, but I'm going to definitely try repeating that to see if I can repeat that magic.
Yeah. There's this I always remind myself of this quote: design is a plan for arranging elements in such a way as best to accomplish a particular purpose. And that is a quote by a famous designer, 20th century designer. Charles Eames. You've probably seen his iconic chair everywhere.
Of course. I've been to the Eames house in Pacific Palisades.
Nice. I have to go there. So I always remind myself of that. And if you break it down, the particular purpose is the most important part. So if your purpose is to really stop the scroll of someone, and you manage to do it in a way that you didn't know it worked, but it does, okay, so that's it. It works. So keep doing it, and maybe test other stuff. But yeah, so that's my point of view on testing and trying different things and breaking a bit the rules.
I love that. Now let's talk about templates, like the nuts and bolts of how templates work. So you design templates. So I buy your product. So I go to 5tips.co and I buy one of your packets of templates.
Yeah.
Walk me through and explain kind of the different types of templates that you sell, and then walk me through how I would use one and how I could build up a system to create pins quickly as a non-designer.
Yeah. Okay. So here's where, if you're a non-designer, templates, and if you're a designer as well, because I use them myself, templates are your best friend. Yes. So the point behind templates is that they are planned for you. You've got everything thought there. So as I told you, the five items for a good Pinterest pin, when I design the templates that I sell, I totally think about that, every specific item. And the benefit of having a template is that you don't have to start from scratch. You are kind of halfway there. And let me assure you, staring at a blank canvas is even hard for us designers. So starting at midway is like great because you have the framework there, you have the layout, you just have to tweak some colors, some wording, maybe add an image, add your logo, and boom, you are done. So this is, you can get to speed up your creation process a lot. You get to look professional because the templates, if they are well-designed templates, they've got this eye for design behind. And you get to save money because you don't have to depend on a designer. So I think templates bring like a lot of benefits for us online businesses that have too much to do, and content creation is overwhelming and design is intimidating. So that's my recommendation. Yeah.
Okay, so I buy one of your template packs. How many templates, let's say, do I get? And these are Canva templates.
Yes, I try to work with Canva. I think it's super friendly. It's easy. It's cheap. I like the interface as well. I think it's like easy to use once you get used to it.
Can I use just the free version of Canva with your templates?
Absolutely. Everything is designed for free version. So all the elements.
So I buy your templates and then I upload them to Canva?
You buy, my set of templates come in sets of 12.
Okay.
So it's a good amount to batch create your content. That's the whole purpose. Like you spend 1 or 2 hours and you get a lot of pins there. So you buy the set of templates and you get a PDF with a link, and it gets you directly to your templates. Those are
on Canva.
On Canva directly. Okay. And you can start there. You can change the images, you can change the text, you add some colors, and you download. And that's about it.
Wow.
Yes, they are easy to use.
I had to take a break right now because since this episode is all about Pinterest, I wanted to ask you if you have the MiloTree Pinterest pop-up on your blog, and recommend that if you don't, you pause the episode, head over to MiloTree and sign up for your account. That way, your Pinterest pop-up will be growing your Pinterest followers. And if you look at your account right now, Pinterest is putting your follower number right there front and center. That means followers matter on Pinterest. It signals to the algorithm that your account is important. So if you want to grow your traffic, definitely be growing your Pinterest followers. Head to MiloTree, sign up for your account in under 2 minutes. And now back to the show. Do I keep your fonts? Do I change the fonts? What is your recommendation?
So you can choose.
I almost feel though, but I have to say that I almost feel like if I have too many crayons in my Crayola box, I kind of go crazy and it all turns into mush. So I need just a few crayons in my crayon box.
Yes, and I agree with that. So the templates that I design, and I am the designer behind all of the templates, I really design thinking about fonts and font pairing. I know about font pairing. I know what works and what's clear. So, if you want to change them, of course you can, but you will see that the font pairs that I choose look good. They look clear. And so you want to try them. I try to always use a font that highlights 1 or 2 words, like kind of give it a bit of more emphasis. So for your keywords, you might want to choose that. But of course, you can change and use the font you want.
Yeah. Got it. And do you like serif fonts or sans serif fonts? Those are the ones, like, can you explain the difference and how to even think about pairing them?
Yes. So serif fonts are the ones that have like the little tails on the ends, and sans serif are the ones that are more modern, kind of minimalistic style. They are cleaner. And it depends. They work really good together. You can combine it. It depends on the mood and the message you want to communicate. Maybe you want to go with a serif font if you are trying something more classic or traditional or elegant, and maybe you want to communicate something cleaner or something more like sleek and clear and minimal, you would go with a sans serif font. Then you've got, I don't know, if you want to do something like more childish, and you can choose like those little rounded fonts or something like that. Or maybe you want to choose like a script font, like a manuscript font, something more informal, like to give it a closer feel, approachable feel. But playing around with fonts, the most important part is that it's readable. So if you don't know what works, stick to one font and use it in light and bold. That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's where I kind of get in trouble, is I start changing up the fonts and then I don't know. And then I go, does that look good? I don't know. That's where I'm like, Clara, help.
When in doubt, just stick to one font that you know is really readable and simple. Like less is more. Keep it really simple and choose that font and work with it.
Okay, so let's say I bought your pack of 12. And now I am, okay, let's say I'm a food blogger and I need to take photographs for these templates. I'm doing my shoot for my recipe. What kinds of photos do you recommend I have that will look good? Because remember, Pinterest wants new content, new pins. So I need to show, let's say, my recipe in a variety of different ways. What kinds of photos should I make sure that I have when doing a blog post and then making pins?
Okay, so you want to have a variety of photos because they allow you like to create different types of graphics. So for instance, if you have a flat lay with lots of white space, it will be easy to add a headline there. Or if you have a close-up, you could use that as a texture and create a mood for that particular pin. So for instance, like taking your example of the food blogger, let's say it's someone who has a recipe of a cheesecake with berries, for instance. And I would recommend to take like at least 5 pictures. And let me tell you which are those 5 pictures. So first, I would go with a flat lay. You could place all your ingredients and take an aerial top view picture. Then I would choose a photograph of something going on, like an action type of picture, maybe a hand like mixing something in a bowl or something like that. Like something is going on about the cooking there.
Like something's being poured on, that kind of thing.
For example, yes, definitely. Something like trying to show the recipe and being done, Then another type of picture is like the more basic frontal view of your dish. It could be the cake standing, like the cake on a stand, and very simple, like the finished product there. Then we've got the close-up. As I told you, it could be like a close-up of the berries or a close-up of the texture, the creamy texture of the cheese or something like that. Something that creates like a mood, that type of picture. And then I would also include like a more wide view where you include maybe the background, the backsplash of your kitchen, or you could take your cake outside and I don't know, show your table setting, something like that. So there you have like 5 really different types of photographs, and you can create really different types of pins using one set of templates. So yeah, that's one example. I mean, you could
I
do
like that.
this
Okay,
for
so
any.
we've got the flat lay, we've got the action shot, the close up, the finished product, and then kind of the contextual seeing it in the world.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I
I
like
think
that.
that's varied enough. Yeah.
I think that's great, especially when I'm making a blog post, just to even keep that in mind. Like, these are then the most interesting ways to show what I'm doing and really capture the entirety of the whole experience. Because a lot of times back in the day, we would have like, I had a really hard time editing my photos, meaning I would have like 4 photos almost exactly the same, but I liked them all, so I put them all in the post. And now over time I've been culling them, but I've wished that I've had, say, the action shot, but I never thought at the time to make sure, oh, I've got the action shot, like the pour or the the adding the whipped cream or something like that, where it feels really alive. So I like having those 5 different kinds of photos to be keeping in the back of my mind when shooting food photography or any kind of photography to make a
Yeah.
blog post. I think that's really great. Let's talk about animated pins.
Okay.
And what are your thoughts on animated pins, and say on making animated pins on Canva, or and do you have templates for animated pins?
Okay, so yeah, animated. I mean, Pinterest is like pushing forward a lot of video and animated pins. They are the ones that appear on the top lately, and they are the ones that are having the most impressions. I've proven that myself, and I'll give you an example in a minute. But um, like if you're a beginner, I mean, I use Canva and I use Photoshop for more complex animations, but if you're a beginner, I would stick to Canva, and I will give you like 3 very, very simple ways of creating animated pins in Canva. So number 1 is practically done automatically for you. You've got this animate feature in the top left corner. It says animate. You just click there. It will open like a couple of options there. You play around, and that just animates the text and how the elements come in. So you just click that and download as an MP4 file, and you've got an animated pin. So
Wow.
as easy as that. The other thing you could animate are the doodles and the arrows and the little elements. So that's super easy. They're done for you. You just have to filter on the elements part, just put animated, and it will filter and give you like a couple of doodles and stickers and fun things that move around. And that I recommend, for instance, if you want to highlight a call to action, you could put these arrows that move there, or you could put like a stroke that appears. That's all done for you. So it's like a very simple animation, and it will give you more impressions just by adding that. And the third tip I'm going to give you is easy, is just replacing, instead of using images, you're going to use a video. And it could be your video. You could upload your video if you're, let's say you're cooking and you want to like make a video of when you're mixing the bowl with the mixture there. That's a simple video. And also Canva has a lot of videos there. So if you go to the left menu, you could filter there. Instead of putting images, you go to video and just replace the image for a video. So for example, so I made this pin, and here's my example about how videos are appearing much more on Pinterest. So I made this pin where the picture was the hands of a designer or a girl with her hands on her laptop, and like if she were typing, but it was a static picture. And I created that pin, and the second pin was exactly the same, but instead of using that image, I used a video of your fingers moving and typing. And that video had much more impressions than the same image, but static. So that's very easy.
So you're only animating, or the only thing that's animating is the video. You're not on top of that adding animated elements.
No, I mean you could, but it's more complex, or it's like more heavy, but this is a very, very, very simple way of making animated video pins. Like just use a video instead of an image.
And then you've got your static text, and wow.
Yes.
So that would be
Exactly
just as
the same.
it would be just as quick as uploading a photo.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's so brilliant.
And you can even do it like duplicate it, and in one place an image, a static image, and in the other one place a video, and try it out.
And test it.
Yeah.
And test it. So what about where are you seeing the most success in terms of the pins that you're creating, or in terms of the templates that are selling? Like, what would you say is very stylish right now on Pinterest?
I'd say there is a slight, well, it depends on the niche, I think. So lifestyle bloggers are using this peachy, pinkish, kind of pastel colors now. But I think that's a trend, like blush colors now. But in terms of what's working, I think it has to do with very straightforward and clear images, like where you really, there's no fuss around and there's no extra elements, like keeping it simple. I think that's what's working. We are too bombarded with graphics all the time. And I think keeping it simple is like very straightforward now and getting to the point. And so that's
so you would say, ready, here we go, less is more.
Yes.
Isn't that like designer talk?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And again, especially if people are on mobile and they're busy and whatever, and you just want that quick solution, that bombarding people with lots of complicated stuff is just overwhelm. And that the simpler, and that people are looking for solutions to their problem. And if you can just show up with that simple solution, I think that gives, I don't know, it just makes people more inclined to say, here we go. This is, problem, solution, done.
Exactly. Yes. And that's the difference between Pinterest, where people go with a problem and want to find a solution, and maybe Instagram, which is different. It's a different kind of platform, right? So yeah. So if you're thinking in terms of Pinterest, I would go like straightforward, clean, simple, like that's it.
And do you like big font, that's where I struggle, is always in terms of fonts and the size of my font and the readability of my font. Like, what is, as a designer, how do you think about that versus, say, the image, like the image of the cheesecake?
Okay, so yeah. I mean, there are different design rules. My recommendation, and I don't want to, you don't need to go into technicalities or very complex stuff. So I'm going to give you a trick that I myself use, and it's very simple. So when I start designing a pin, first of all, I plan it. I plan it out first. So I say, okay, this is the photograph that I'm going to use. This is for a background. Or maybe I want a plain colored background. This is the text I'm going to use, the headline I'm going to use. This is the call to action I'm going to use. And this is my logo or my colors, right? So you have that kind of toolkit in place. And then you want to think about what's the purpose of that pin. So if you want to, so the overall purpose is obviously to get someone to click there, but what is the theme or the mood you want to create, you want to convey, you want to show something that has to do with something more rustic, or do you want to look more techy, or I mean, that depends on the theme you're working, right? So I would stick to this trick. Once you design your pin, you kind of know what is the most important part. So that most important part should stand out, and you have your image there. And here's what I do: you kind of close your eyes a bit, like kind of look kind of blurry there, and you want to analyze there. What's the first thing you see? Is it like well balanced? Is something like too heavy on the, I don't know, on the bottom of the pin or something like that? And that's the way, like, kind of, you teach yourself to look at a graphic and understand if it is getting your message out there. So if the most important part is there and it stands out, okay, that's good. And then the second part, okay, you can read it. And that's very important. You want to make sure everything is really readable. If not, it doesn't work. So those are the rules I would follow. Like, know what is the hierarchy of your information, what's the most important part, what's the least important part but has to be there. Then the contrast, like, is it readable or not? If not, it doesn't work. And again, keeping it simple, less is more.
I love the squint test. I think that's brilliant. I'm going to use that. Now, in terms of workflows, so let's say, like you said, time is really pressing. I don't have a lot of time. I've got your 12 templates. And I know that I've got my 5 photos, right? I've got my 5 different photos. I've got your templates. How do you think about workflow so that I can make a ton of new pins? Because remember, Pinterest rewards new content. My goal is to knock out a lot of pins. What is your thought about that?
Okay, so if you got your templates there and you got your images, your photographs, next step, write your headlines. And I would say choose 2 or 3 headlines for your wording, and choose what are the keywords you want to highlight there, and just go to your templates and start by replacing the images, the photographs or videos, if you want to create those animated pins, then change the text, and then adjust any colors if you want, or you can keep the colors of the templates, and that's basically it. So I'd start with the content, the headlines, the photographs, and the colors. Those are the 3 items I would take, because if you work with templates, as I told you, things are already thought for you. You've got that framework. It's just a matter of filling in the blanks, something like that.
And the other thing also on your blog, one thing that you do really well is you walk people through how to create different designs. So everybody, I recommend you go to 5tips.co because you have some really cool tutorials on things I would never think about, like using, say, a texture and enlarging it and creating a pin based on that. So I think that, you get very granular in terms of like, do this and then do this, and then here's your interesting pin.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of blog posts about that. And as I told you, it's all about making it really, really simple. Design can be really intimidating, and we've got so much to do as online business entrepreneurs, and we have to create content, and it's overwhelming and everything. So I personally try to stick with my own method, and I am sharing that method. It works. It has been working for me for the past 15 years, literally. And it all comes to starting with a plan, planning it out, like what's the goal of the graphic I'm going to create. In this case, it could be a Pinterest pin or a social media post or a packaging or whatever. But it all starts with a goal, like an overview. What's the format? What's the message? What's the look and feel you want to convey with that image you want to create? And then you define the elements. You choose like your content. Okay, this photograph, this headline, this doodles, and this call to action. And then you place them inside your layout. And here's where templates come in so handy, because they have the layout set out for you.
When we teach, David and I, we say the exact same thing, which is step back and think about what is the goal of this blog post. And so I love that you're saying the exact same thing in terms of Pinterest pins, rather than just, I need to make pins. I need to do the thinking up front so that I know what this pin is about and I know what I'm trying to achieve with this pin.
Yes. So for instance, if you want to create animated pins or video pins, those won't probably give you clicks because they're not clickable yet on Pinterest, but they could give you brand awareness and maybe like push your brand forward and appear first. So you want to maybe mix it up and have some of your video pins, some of static pins, and as we were saying, it's a matter of testing. But it's really easy to test when you have this kind of systems easily worked out for you with your templates. So once you get used to that, you can really quickly and easily get a bunch of images done for testing.
Okay, I have to ask this one question. So Clara, you've been working with David and me, you've done our group, you're in our membership. What's it like?
Well, for me, I must say it was a game changer. I absolutely love being part of the community. It is so important for us solopreneurs to have a support group, to have a place where you can like ask for anything and have a bunch of opinions and help with technical stuff. I mean, David is great with technical stuff as well. So if anyone is there out there doubting about joining the group, please come. It's great. And blogging and being an online entrepreneur can sometimes be lonely, and this helps us push forward. When you don't feel motivated, or you don't feel like you want to do this anymore, or just the group helps us keep accountable and keep going and keep pushing forward. So yeah, that's my thought. I love being part of the group. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Okay, Clara, if people want to reach out to you, how can they do that? If they have design questions, if they want to see your templates, if they want to read your blog posts where you give design tips, what should they do?
Well, you can go to my website. That's 5tips.co. It's the number 5tips.co. You can find me on Instagram under the same name at 5tips.co. You can find me on Pinterest as well, blog 5tips. And it's all about that, about making design simple. Design made simple is basically what I try to communicate. Actionable tips, actionable tricks, breaking down the parts, like really useful tips for non-designers, and to help you create content fast and feel confident, and of course look professional. So that's, yeah. And please reach out if you need anything. I'm happy to help. I am very passionate about design. I love it. And I love helping bloggers and online entrepreneurs with their graphics. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, Clara, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Jillian. I'm so happy.
I hope this podcast episode gave you more confidence creating pins. I know it has for me. It says if I follow some basic rules, if I think strategically and intentionally about what I'm creating, and if I use templates, I can create pins quickly and without a lot of uncertainty. So please, if you have not joined my newsletter, head to bloggergenius.com and sign up, and I will send you a weekly newsletter breaking down my 4 biggest takeaways from my most current episode. Again, it's like a cheat sheet so that you can stay up on what is happening, what are the trends, what's really working in online entrepreneurship and blogging today. So again, go to bloggergenius.com. Please sign up. I'd love to get to know you, and I will see you here again next week.